Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this: a vast ocean of stars stretched endlessly above you, each one a flicker of possibility, each one a question about what it means to exist. Your thoughts drift like satellites, circling in quiet patterns, yet carrying weight that feels as old as time itself. The universe hums in silence, and somewhere inside your mind, that same hum seems to echo back. It is as though the neurons firing in your brain and the galaxies spinning in the night sky are both parts of the same mysterious song. Before we go further, I'd love to know something. Where in the world are you listening from tonight, and what time is it for you? Are you lying in bed in the stillness of early morning? Are you wrapped in a blanket while the world outside grows quiet? Or perhaps it is the middle of the day where you are, yet your mind has chosen to drift here, into this softer space. Wherever you are part of this journey now, and that thought alone makes this story more connected, more alive. Tonight, we will step into the mystery of quantum consciousness, a theory that suggests your mind is not only a biological organ, but a participant in the very fabric of reality. We will explore how thoughts may ripple like quantum waves, and how awareness might not be trapped inside the skull, but extended, woven into the universe itself. This journey will take us deep into the structure of the brain, into the neurons and microtubules that whisper in patterns too small to see. We will pause at the edges of quantum theory, where uncertainty and possibility dance, and we will consider what it means if consciousness is truly a universal phenomenon. We will move slowly, step by step, across landscapes of thought and light. First, we'll wander through the brain itself, exploring how electrical sparks give rise to awareness. Then we will dive deeper into the strange and delicate world of quantum mechanics, where particles can be both here and there, both wave and solid, until they are observed. From there, we'll ask whether the mind is itself an observer, shaping reality as much as it perceives it. Later, we will drift outward again, tracing how the universe itself may act like a great mind, holding memory in the structure of space-time. And finally, we will return gently to the self, to you, the listener, resting in the possibility that your awareness is more than private thought, more than personal reflection. Perhaps it is a thread of the universe itself, shimmering, connected, unbroken. This will not be a race. We are not here to solve or to rush. Each idea will unfold slowly, like a star rising on the horizon, or a wave spreading across a still pond. You will hear repetition, soft reminders, gentle pauses, because this is a story meant not to excite but to soothe, a story where science is not sharp but rounded, shaped into rhythm, carried in calm. So take a breath, let the noise of the day fall away, and let the silence between words hold you. Imagine your brain and the universe breathing together, one inhale, one exhale, a rhythm that has been pulsing since before the first stars ignited. The path ahead is long, filled with questions and wonder, but there is no need to hold on tightly. Let your thoughts wander, let your mind float. This is your time to rest, to listen, and to sink gently into the space between science and dream. And as you drift further into this quiet, remember, you are not separate from the universe. You are part of it, always connected, always carried by it. Let this story carry you, even as your eyes grow heavy. Close your eyes and imagine your mind as a boundless night sky. Within your skull, a cosmos glimmers, billions of neurons flickering like stars, weaving constellations of thought, sparking with each memory, each dream. In the stillness, you can almost hear it, a soft electrical hum, as though the brain itself were an orchestra of galaxies. Each spark is brief, but together they form an endless light show, a miniature universe, alive inside of you. The brain is not empty, yet it carries an immensity that mirrors the heavens. About 86 billion neurons rest inside, each one stretching delicate branches outward, dendrites and axons reaching like spiral arms of galaxies. When a signal travels down an axon and leaps across the tiny gap of a synapse, a connection is born. Trillions upon trillions of such connections form a network so vast that even the cosmic web outside seems simpler. Scientists call this grand architecture the connectome, the complete map of interwoven neural threads. To look at it is to glimpse a mirror of the universe, galaxies gathered into filaments across unimaginable distances, neurons gathered into pathways across the mind. You drift deeper into this vision, where the boundaries of biology and astronomy dissolve. The brain glows not with burning hydrogen, but with electrochemical fire. Sodium and potassium ions rush like unseen tides, voltage ripples down the length of neurons, and synapses light up with the leap of neurotransmitters. Tiny chemical messengers, glutamate, dopamine, serotonin, carry whispers across microscopic gaps. Within these whispers lies the story of your existence, the sound of your name, the taste of your first memory, the thought shaping in this very moment. And yet, a quiet question flickers, shimmering like a distant star. Are these sparks only chemistry, or could they be something more? Some scientists, like Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff, have suggested that hidden deep within neurons, in structures called microtubules, lattices so small that classical physics breaks down, consciousness may brush against the quantum world. In these realms, particles dwell in uncertainty, both here and not here, wave and particle until observed. Could awareness itself emerge not only from patterns of firing, but from probabilities collapsing, from quantum states folding, into reality? Could thought be the universe choosing, moment by moment, to become? The parallels deepen. When astronomers map the largest scales of the cosmos, they see glowing filaments of galaxies stretching like threads, separated by immense voids. When neuroscientists trace the brain, they see filaments of neurons stretching into networks, separated by silent gaps. Two scales separated by vastness, yet echoing the same design. The brain is not the universe, and the universe is not the brain, but both seem to hum with the same geometry, as if awareness and cosmos were drawn from one script. Let repetition carry you now, like ripples across a quiet pond. Neurons flicker like stars. Stars cluster like neurons. A brain glows like a galaxy. A galaxy shimmers like a brain. The pattern loops softly, endlessly, rocking you deeper into stillness. If quantum effects truly guide thought, then your mind may not be bound by the body at all. Instead, it may be part of a wider field, resonating with the same uncertainty that shapes atoms, the same unfolding that spins galaxies into being. Perhaps consciousness is not confined within you, but stretches outward, a subtle thread woven into the very fabric of existence, and so you linger in the silence where science and wonder meet. Your mind holds galaxies, your neurons are constellations, your awareness is a spark, ancient and mysterious, flickering in tune with the stars. But this is only the beginning, for if a universe truly glows within your mind, then the next question rises like music on the horizon. How do these sparks join together into the great rhythm of thought, the brain's electric symphony? Imagine standing within a vast, darkened hall. At first, it is silent, so silent you can hear your own breath. Then, from somewhere unseen, a single note hums softly through the air. Another joins it, and another, until a full orchestra awakens, strings vibrating, winds whispering, drums echoing in time. The sound expands, filling the space, weaving patterns of harmony. This is how your brain lives in every moment, not silent, but alive with music. A vast symphony of electrical rhythms, each neuron playing its part, each pulse carrying thought like sound carried through the hall. Billions of neurons, like instruments, never fall quiet. Some beat in steady tempos, shaping the rhythm of your heartbeat, the rise and fall of your breath. Others strike sharper, like violins cutting the air, carrying sensation, the chill of a breeze, the echo of a memory, the sudden spark of an idea. Alone, a note may be small, but when countless voices unite, they create patterns, melodies, harmonies, that together form what it feels like to be alive. Scientists call these rhythms brainwaves, electrical patterns that sweep through the orchestra of the mind. At times they move quickly, like racing notes of a violin, beta waves linked with focus, alertness, thought rushing forward. At other times they slow, like the soft hum of cellos, alpha waves, flowing gently as you relax, drift, rest. And when you descend into the depths of sleep, the music deepens further, into the slow, heavy movements of delta waves, carrying you into dream. Just as a symphony shifts between movements, your brain shifts between frequencies, guiding your awareness through the states of waking, resting, and sleeping. Yet rhythm is only half the wonder. The other lies in connection, for no instrument plays alone, and no neuron fires in isolation. Sparks leap from one cell to another, creating cascades of activity that sweep across the brain. Imagine the night sky lighting up with constellations, stars glowing in sequence, their patterns invisible until seen together. So it is with your thoughts. Neurons link into circuits, circuits into networks, networks into the fabric of memory and perception. The design is so intricate that to map it is like charting galaxies. Indeed, when scientists compared the brain's connectomy to the structure of the cosmic web, they found something astonishing. Clusters connected by threads, emptiness punctuating form, as though mind and universe shared the same geometry. On the larger scales, galaxies gather into filaments across billions of light years. On the smallest, neurons cluster into threads of awareness. The image is uncanny, two scales impossibly far apart, yet echoing each other like mirrors held face to face. But this is not only metaphor. Your thoughts are not imagined music. They are real electricity. Each time a neuron fires, charged ions flow across its membrane, creating a spark of voltage. When billions fire in rhythm, their combined activity can be measured outside your skull. Electroencephalograms, EEGs, capture this chorus of waves, patterns that shift with your state of mind. Proof that the brain is never silent. Proof that your mind sings. And this music is more than beauty. It is the very fabric of awareness. A thought is not one note but chords, harmonies woven across distant regions of the brain. To recognize a face, the occipital lobe sees, the frontal lobe interprets, memory regions compare, emotional centers respond. Signals ripple back and forth, instruments echoing across the hall, until harmony emerges. Recognition, meaning, understanding. Even when the orchestra falters, the music adapts. Damage to one network may mute words, erase memory, or alter mood. Yet the brain continues, changing its tune, creating new pathways, improvising with what remains. Unlike a rigid machine, the brain is flexible, alive, capable of finding new harmonies even in silence. And as you drift deeper into this thought, the poetry returns like a refrain. Neurons fire like notes, networks glow like constellations, brainwaves ripple like tides across galaxies. You are not merely a listener, you are the symphony itself. Each thought a measure, each memory a refrain, each dream a movement in an endless, unfolding composition. But, as every listener knows, music is made not only of notes, but of silence between them. And so a question rises at the edge of this symphony. What lies in the smallest pauses, beneath the notes themselves? Could the key to awareness dwell not in the orchestra as a whole, but in the tiniest vibrations hidden in silence? The quantum whispers waiting to be heard? Imagine drifting closer, deeper, into the smallest corners of the mind. The great symphony of the brain fades into quiet detail, until you find yourself at the edge of an invisible gulf. On one side, a neuron sends its message forward. On the other, another waits to receive it. Between them lies a gap so tiny it measures only billionths of a meter, and yet within this space thought itself is born. This is the synapse, a frontier where chemistry becomes electricity, where silence becomes signal, where possibility becomes awareness. The scene glows with delicate activity. Tiny vesicles, like lanterns in the dark, float toward the edge of the neuron. One by one they burst, spilling their shimmering cargo into the synaptic cleft. These molecules are neurotransmitters, carriers of sensation, memory, and intent. They drift across the narrow gulf, binding to receptors waiting on the far side. As they land, channels open, ions flow, and the resting neuron awakens, sparking with voltage. A ripple begins again, travelling forward, ready to pass the torch of thought into the endless chain. This does not happen once or rarely, but constantly. In every heartbeat, trillions of synapses ignite across your brain, each one a doorway, each one a spark. They are the meeting places where experience is stitched together, where every sight, every sound, every word, and every dream passes through. Within this narrow gulf, the inner and the outer worlds connect, the physical and the mental intertwine, the smallest of spaces, and yet the grandest of thresholds. Science has traced this dance in remarkable detail. Researchers have mapped the molecules, glutamate for excitation, GABA for calm, dopamine for reward, serotonin for mood. They have studied the ions that rush inward, sodium, calcium, potassium, watching how they create pulses of electricity that travel down axons like tiny lightning bolts. In this way, chemistry becomes electricity, and electricity becomes thought. But even with this knowledge, questions remain unanswered, mysteries unbroken. For the synapse, so small, may also be a stage for deeper processes, a place where the ordinary rules of physics blur into the realm of the quantum. Some theories suggest that within the proteins of the neuron, perhaps even within the synapse itself, quantum effects may unfold. Here, particles can rest in superposition, existing in two states at once, collapsing only when measured, when forced to decide. If this is true, then thought is not simply chemistry, not simply electricity, but probability itself. Awareness may emerge from the fragile dance of possibilities becoming real. Close your eyes again and feel it. Messages leaping across gaps so narrow they cannot be seen, sparks firing, igniting clefts of silence, awareness rising from distances too small to imagine. Every thought you hold, every memory that stays, every dream that drifts across your mind, all born from this invisible crossing. Billions of times a second, synapse to synapse, spark to spark, leap to leap. It is vast, and it is humbling, and it unfolds without your notice, carrying you forward. Let the repetition cradle you. Chemistry to electricity, silence to signal, stillness to awareness. Again and again, a pattern weaving your very existence. The brain is not a static machine, but a living storm of crossings. The universe of the mind exists because these tiny frontiers open and close endlessly. And still, the question lingers. If thought begins in this gulf, if awareness is born in these leaps, then what lies beneath? Could the tiniest of these processes whisper not only to neurons, but to the very fabric of the universe itself? Could the quantum stage within the synapse be a hidden bridge, connecting your inner mind to the wider cosmos? The thought hovers like a note held in the air, fading into quiet. You drift at the edge of the synapse, watching molecules leap, listening to sparks ignite, feeling consciousness ripple outward. But beyond this threshold lies another mystery, shimmering at the edge of perception, the whispers of the microtubules, where shadows of quantum possibility may play their role in the birth of awareness. Imagine drifting even deeper into the hidden architecture of the mind. The sparks of the synapses fade behind you, still glowing faintly like constellations in a night sky, and you move inward into the very scaffolding of the neuron itself. There, within the delicate interior of every cell, rise pillars so small they are invisible to the naked eye. Microtubules, slender filaments that hold the neuron upright, shape its form, guide its growth, and carry the quiet pulse of life along its inner pathways. At first, they seem only structural, like beams supporting the arches of a cathedral. But look closer, and their design begins to whisper of something more, something that blurs the boundary between biology and physics. Microtubules are built of repeating proteins called tubulin, linked together into hollow cylinders. Under the microscope, they appear like lattices, ordered grids stretching through the neuron's interior as though woven by unseen hands. They serve as highways for molecular motors, tiny couriers that carry nutrients and messages from one end of the cell to the other. Without them, the neuron would falter, collapse inward, lose its ability to send and receive the delicate rhythms of thought. Yet beyond their role as scaffolding and pathways, their geometry holds a mystery. Their repeating symmetry, their lattice-like design, looks less like mere biology and more like a stage set for something subtler, something deeper. Some researchers believe that within these lattices quantum states may arise. Unlike the larger structures of the brain, where classical physics dominates, microtubules are small enough for quantum effects to matter. Here, superposition allows particles to rest in multiple states at once. Entanglement links distant particles so that one shift instantly mirrors another. Within these hollow tubes, such fragile states may be preserved, resonating, waiting before collapsing into reality. If true, microtubules are not just beams of structure but resonant chambers, hosting quantum events that ripple outward into the orchestra of thought. This idea forms the core of the OR theory, orchestrated objective reduction, proposed by physicist Roger Penrose and anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff. They suggest that consciousness is not merely the electrical firing of neurons, but emerges from orchestrated quantum processes inside microtubules. In this view, awareness is not simply an emergent property of biology, but a phenomenon woven into the very structure of the universe, collapsing probabilities into experience. You linger with this thought, watching the microtubules shimmer like cosmic grids. Their patterns seem to echo the structure of the universe itself, repeating lattices, networks of connection, geometry shaping form. Just as galaxies align into vast filaments across space, just as neurons cluster into webs of thought, so too do these tiny scaffolds mirror the greater patterns. Fractals within fractals, scale within scale, as though the universe has written the same script into stars, into neurons, into the smallest foundations of life. Close your eyes, and you can almost hear them. Not a sound, not a song, but a whisper at the edge of perception, the faint hum of quantum possibility. Within the microtubules, particles drift between states, neither here nor there, waiting for collapse. When collapse comes, reality sharpens, a choice is made, and awareness flickers to life. Again and again, endlessly in every neuron, across the silent corridors of your mind. Let repetition guide you deeper. Lattices within lattices, patterns within patterns, whispers within whispers. The microtubulars hum softly, their rhythms folding into the larger symphony of the brain. Their geometry reflects the deeper geometry of the cosmos, a reminder that you are not separate from this design, but carried by it, woven into it, shaped by it. Still, questions shimmer like distant stars. If microtubules truly host quantum states, then what are you? Is your awareness, your sense of self, a quantum phenomenon? Are your thoughts not only matter and electricity, but probabilities collapsing into presence? If so, then perhaps your consciousness is more than personal, more than biological. Perhaps it is a window into the same physics that governs the birth of stars, the weaving of galaxies, the unfolding of the universe itself. You drift in this possibility, suspended between certainty and mystery. The microtubules stand silent, but within them the hum of existence lingers, a whisper that consciousness may be both neuron and universe, both matter and possibility, both self and cosmos. But this is not the end. For even if quantum whispers shape thought, another paradox emerges. If quantum states collapse when observed, then what does it mean for the mind itself to be the observer? Does awareness not only witness reality, but help create it? The question lingers in the stillness, shimmering at the threshold as the whispers of the microtubules fade into the next mystery, the observer's paradox. Imagine yourself drifting beyond the scaffolds of the neuron, beyond the whispers of the microtubules, into a realm even smaller, even stranger. Here, the familiar rules of the world dissolve, and a new stage emerges, the stage of quantum mechanics. Around you, electrons shimmer like restless fireflies, Photons scatter like sparks of light, and each one refuses to behave in ways the mind expects. Sometimes they move like solid particles, tiny beads of matter. Sometimes they ripple like waves, spreading softly across space, blending into one another. The line between what they are and what they could be fades into mystery. This is the quantum world, and it is unlike any other. At this scale, certainty slips away. The path of a particle cannot be pinned down, only described as a cloud of probability. An electron does not exist in one place until it is measured. Instead, it hovers in ghostly superposition, many states at once waiting for reality to choose. Photons, too, carry dual identities. They travel as waves, interfering with themselves, yet when they strike, they arrive as singular points. It is as if each carries within it two truths, both particle and wave, both potential and presence. And in this paradox, you begin to hear an echo of your own awareness. The mind, too, is not fixed. It drifts between possibilities, one idea leading to another, memories merging with imagination, decisions hanging suspended until a choice is made. Just as a quantum particle lingers in superposition, so too does thought linger between paths, hovering between what is and what might be. Scientists have wrestled with this mystery for more than a century. The double-slit experiment revealed its strangeness. When particles of light or matter pass through two slits, they do not behave like solid objects but like waves, creating an interference pattern, as if each particle passed through both slits at once. Yet when observed directly, the wave disappears. The particles choose, taking one path, one slit. Observation itself seems to decide reality. Awareness changes the outcome. And so a quiet question stirs. If quantum particles live in possibility until observed, and if thought itself feels so fluid, could consciousness be linked to these same principles? Is the mind, in its essence, quantum? Close your eyes and feel the parallels unfolding. Particles shimmer like ideas, both real and potential. Waves ripple like imagination, spreading softly into countless forms. Observation collapses them, just as choice collapses indecision into action. The universe, at its smallest scales, does not move with rigid certainty, but with fluid rhythm, patterns that rise and dissolve like the ebb of thought within you. Let repetition soothe you. Particle, wave, potential, presence, possibility, decision, a dance repeating endlessly, humming beneath every atom, humming beneath every neuron, humming beneath every thought. You are not apart from this rhythm. You are carried by it, shaped by it, sustained by it. The implications shimmer like distant stars. If reality is woven from probability, then existence is not fixed but unfolding, moment by moment, from waves of possibility into concrete form. And if the mind is woven of the same fabric, then perhaps consciousness is not merely a bystander. Perhaps it is a participant, collapsing potentials into reality, turning what might be into what is. Awareness, then, may be more than a flicker of biology. It may be a force written into the physics of existence itself. You linger in this thought, suspended between wonder and silence. Electrons drift in their invisible orbits. Photons scatter through the dark. And yet, you sense they are not far from you, but within you, shaping the very mind that contemplates them. The particles of possibility that build the universe are the same that build your brain, the same that flicker within the stream of your awareness. But even here, a deeper mystery waits. If observation shapes quantum events, then what of the observer itself? What does it mean for the mind to watch, and in watching, to create? The question lingers, soft as a fading note, carrying you gently forward into the next mystery, the observer's paradox, where consciousness and reality may be more entangled than you dare to imagine. Imagine standing at the threshold of the quantum world where particles shimmer in many possibilities at once. A cloud of uncertainty stretches before you, delicate and shifting, like mist across a moonlit lake. In this realm, an electron may be here or there. A photon may ripple as a wave or strike as a particle. The possibilities remain suspended, fragile, until something interrupts the stillness, until something watches, and with the act of observation, the mist clears, the wave collapses, and reality chooses. This is the paradox that has puzzled scientists for generations. In quantum mechanics, particles live in superposition, a blur of states, until they are measured. The very act of observation collapses this shimmering haze into one outcome. What was once many becomes one. Possibility becomes presence. Potential becomes reality. You drift deeper into this mystery, sensing the subtle weight of awareness. If observation collapses, the wave function, then what does it truly mean to observe? Is it the detector, the instrument, the device recording the event? Or is it something more, the presence of mind, the spark of consciousness that completes the act? Consider the double-slit experiment once again. When no one watches, particles scatter like waves, overlapping into interference patterns, as though each passes through many paths at once. But when observed, the pattern vanishes. The wave becomes a particle. A choice is made. Awareness alters what is real. The thought lingers, soft yet insistent. Could consciousness itself be the ultimate observer? Could your mind be the lens through which the universe crystallizes, collapsing the fluid into the fixed, the possible into the present? If so, then awareness is not merely passive, not only receiving reality, but shaping it. The act of knowing becomes the act of making. Close your eyes and let the imagery unfold. A field of possibilities stretches outward, infinite and unresolved, like a sky filled with stars not yet lit. Then awareness rises, like a lantern glowing in the dark. As you look, the field contracts, resolves, sharpens. The particle lands. The wave settles into presence. The universe, silent until then, answers your gaze. Let repetition steady you, like a mantra whispered in stillness. Possibility, presence, wave, collapse, potential, reality, awareness, creation. The rhythm hums softly, reminding you that observation is not a distant abstraction, but a pulse woven into existence itself. You are carried by it, you are shaped by it, you are entangled with it. Scientists still debate where the boundary lies. Does collapse happen when any system interacts, no matter how mechanical, no matter how unaware? Or does consciousness hold a special role, weaving the final thread that stitches reality together? For now, the answer remains uncertain. Yet the paradox endures, not only as a puzzle of physics, but as a doorway into wonder. To observe is to change. To know is to participate. The universe is not only unfolding around you, but unfolding through you. And so you linger in this realization, suspended between mystery and silence. The observer's paradox is more than a curiosity. It is an invitation to see yourself as inseparable from the fabric of reality. The act of awareness is the act of shaping, a golden thread tying mind and cosmos together. The mist of uncertainty does not vanish. It lingers at the edges. Superposition still hums. Possibility still breathes. The field of the unresolved still waits, infinite and quiet. Yet within it, your awareness glows softly, part of the process, part of the unfolding. Consciousness does not stand apart from reality, but is entangled with it, inseparable from the very patterns it perceives. You breathe with this recognition, slowly, quietly. The paradox settles, not with solutions, but with wonder. Awareness shapes, even as it observes. Reality unfolds, even as it is seen. And from this stillness, you sense a deeper mystery waiting, entanglements that stretch across space itself, binding what seems separate into unity, binding minds and worlds in ways not yet understood. Imagine drifting through the fabric of space itself, where particles dance in silence, separated by vast distances yet bound by invisible threads. One particle turns, and another, light years away, mirrors its motion instantly, as though no space divides them. This is quantum entanglement, the deep and mysterious bond that ties particles beyond distance, beyond time, beyond what the mind expects. In the ordinary world, cause takes time. A signal must travel, a force must move, an action must ripple outward before its effect is felt elsewhere. But in the quantum realm, separation dissolves. No matter how far apart, entangled particles act as one, their realities woven together like two notes played on the same invisible string. Albert Einstein once called it spooky action at a distance, for even he, who had revealed the relativity of time and space, struggled to accept its strange intimacy. Over the decades, scientists have tested this bond in countless experiments. Entangled photons have been split and sent in opposite directions across laboratories, across cities, even reflected from satellites orbiting the Earth. And still, when one is measured, the other responds instantly, its state fixed in perfect correlation. No signal, no delay, only unity. Space may divide them, but reality does not. You linger with this thought, and a quiet possibility begins to rise. If particles can be entangled across distance, could consciousness too be entangled? Could awareness reach beyond the boundaries of the self, weaving unseen threads between minds, between people, even between the mind and the universe itself? Close your eyes and feel this possibility. The sudden thought of a loved one just before their message arrives. The presence of another person, far away, yet felt as if near. The way empathy bridges distance, as though two minds hum together in resonance. Science is cautious, hesitant to declare such links, yet entanglement itself whispers of hidden bonds. If matter can be joined beyond measure, then perhaps awareness too carries the same invisible thread. Let repetition guide you deeper. Connection, separation, distance, unity. Two particles, one reality. Two minds, one awareness. The rhythm flows like a thread woven through silence, a hidden song vibrating between worlds. Some researchers even explore whether the brain itself might sustain fleeting quantum entanglement. Microtubules, synapses, and molecular states could, for fragile instants, entangle within the mind and perhaps beyond it. If so, consciousness may not be bound within a skull. It may ripple outward, brushing against others, brushing against the cosmos, part of a larger web of awareness. The implications shimmer like constellations against a dark sky. Entanglement does not send messages faster than light, but it dissolves the meaning of distance. In the same way, human minds may not transmit thoughts directly, yet they may still resonate, sharing patterns, intuitions, emotions without words, a glance, a silence, a moment of knowing. Perhaps these are echoes of a deeper unity, the entanglement of awareness itself, and you, drifting with this thought, feel less alone. If particles are bound by invisible threads, and if your awareness is made of the same matter, then maybe every thought, every breath, every spark of perception is part of a greater whole. What feels separate may only be the surface. Beneath, everything is woven together. Breathe slowly, softly, minds entangled, worlds entangled, the universe humming with unseen connections, a truth both intimate and cosmic, fragile and immense, waiting quietly beneath every moment. And beyond this unity, another mystery begins to glow. For if awareness can be linked, then perhaps it is not bound by the brain alone. Perhaps consciousness extends outward, radiating beyond the body, brushing lightly against the cosmos itself, a field of thought moving through space like light. Imagine sitting in perfect stillness, the body at rest, the breath steady. Yet even in this silence, the brain hums quietly, like an instrument that never stops playing. Across its surface, waves of electricity rise and fall, forming patterns like the tides of an unseen ocean. These rhythms do not stay contained. They radiate outward, slipping through bone and skin, extending into the air like faint, invisible light. Every thought, every memory, every dream is carried by electrical impulses, ions rushing across membranes, signals traveling down axons, cascades of voltage that spark across synapses. When billions of neurons fire together, their combined activity creates waves large enough to be detected outside the head. This is how electroencephalograms, or EEGs, work. Small electrodes resting on the scalp can record the echoes of thought itself. Scientists have learned to recognize these rhythms, each with its own character. Delta waves, slow and heavy, roll during deep sleep. Theta waves drift like currents during reverie and imagination. Alpha waves hum steadily in moments of calm. Beta waves quicken with focus and effort. Gamma waves ripple in rapid bursts when perception sharpens, when memory binds. These frequencies form the brain's inner symphony, but they are not locked inside. They move outward as electromagnetic fields, faint but real, brushing gently into the world around you. Close your eyes and feel this. The mind does not end at the skull. It glows softly into space, its energy radiating like ripples on still water. You are not a sealed vessel, but an open presence, your awareness extending beyond the body's borders in delicate waves. Some researchers suggest these fields may play a role in unifying the mind. Perhaps they help synchronize the firing of distant neurons, binding scattered activity into the seamless flow of awareness. Others wonder if these radiating fields interact with the environment in subtle ways, creating connections we barely understand. The thought lingers. Perhaps consciousness is not only inside but also around, diffused like a soft glow, part of a larger field. Picture it now, a lantern casting light into the dark, a tuning fork resonating into the air, a ripple spreading outward, touching space quietly, invisibly. This is your brain's presence, not only internal but extended, humming just beyond your skin. Let repetition soothe you, within and without, inside and outside, spark and field, body and mind. Again and again the rhythm folds back upon itself, reminding you that awareness is both enclosed and expansive, both inner fire and outer glow. Experiments suggest that when people sit close together, their brain rhythms can align. Two sets of waves fall into step, as though minds seek resonance. Shared attention, shared emotion, shared silence, all seem to pull the patterns into harmony. It is not proof of minds merging, but it is a hint of something more, a whisper that awareness is not entirely private. And from this thought, a possibility opens. If your mind radiates energy, brushing into the space around you, then perhaps it can reach farther still. Perhaps consciousness is not confined, but stretches outward, brushing softly against the wider cosmos. Just as light travels, just as gravity bends space, perhaps thought, too, ripples into the vastness. You rest in this vision. The skull is no barrier. The mind is not a prison. Awareness moves outward like breath, like mist, like light fading into the horizon. You are both spark and field, both body and cosmos. The realization settles with a quiet calm. Your consciousness may already be touching more than you know, already extending into the fabric of existence. And if the mind radiates outward like a wave, then perhaps it is not alone. Perhaps these ripples join together, mingling in a larger sea of awareness that waits quietly, just beyond perception. Imagine drifting into a boundless ocean, but not of water. This sea is made of thought, of perception, of awareness itself. It has no shoreline, no depth to measure, only endless currents moving gently in silence. Each ripple feels familiar, as if it carries fragments of every mind that has ever existed. You float here effortlessly, carried by waves that rise and fall like breath. Scientists speak of consciousness as an emergent property of the brain, the activity of billions of neurons woven into a single experience. But some wonder if awareness might not end at the body at all. If the brain radiates electromagnetic fields, faint but expansive, could those fields mingle, overlap and combine, like waves meeting in the open sea? If so, then consciousness may not be a solitary flame, but part of something greater, a vast and shared expanse. Close your eyes, and you can almost sense it, the presence of others, not as voices or images, but as subtle vibrations. Like drops of rain falling into the same water, individual streams dissolve into unity. The self remains, but it is not alone. It is part of a collective ocean, a field of awareness stretching quietly across space. Let repetition guide you deeper. One drop, one wave, one sea, one mind, one field. Over and over the pattern folds into itself until separation feels like an illusion, until unity feels like the underlying truth. Philosophers and physicists alike have hinted at this possibility. Some suggest that consciousness may be a fundamental feature of the universe, as basic as matter or energy. Others propose that awareness emerges when systems reach a certain complexity, as though the universe itself awakens through its creations. Either way, the idea persists. Consciousness may not be confined within skulls, but woven into the very fabric of reality, a vast and silent sea through which all minds drift. Consider how your thoughts flow. One memory blends into another. One idea sparks a chain of others. Awareness feels less like a single point and more like a current, always moving, always connected. Now imagine that same current stretching outward, joining with others, forming tides that move through the cosmos itself. The sea of awareness is not a metaphor, but a possibility, a field where every spark of thought contributes to a greater whole. You rest in this vision, carried by its calm. If your awareness is a drop, then you are also the wave it joins, also the sea it belongs to. You are not separate but continuous, not isolated but connected. The self is still here, but it floats within something larger, something that holds all things gently, like water holding the sky's reflection. Breathe slowly and feel the rhythm. Inhale, the drop. Exhale, the sea. Inhale, the self. Exhale, the whole. The pattern repeats, steady and soft, lulling you deeper into stillness. Some traditions have long described this unity. Mystics speak of dissolving into oneness. Meditators describe losing the boundary between self and world. Modern neuroscience observes how the sense of self can fade when networks of the brain fall quiet. Science and spirituality, though different in language, both suggest a similar truth, that the self is porous, and awareness flows outward, joining something wider. You linger in this thought, suspended in gentle silence. The sea of awareness hums all around you, timeless and vast. You are part of it, and it is part of you. Separation dissolves, unity remains. Yet within this calm, another mystery begins to shimmer. If all awareness is connected, then what becomes of individuality? How do unique minds arise within the shared sea? How does the drop remember itself while floating in the ocean? Imagine the body lying still in the quiet of night, breath slow, muscles heavy, while within the mind another world begins to stir. Colors bloom from nothing, voices rise without sound, memories bend into shapes that never happened. You drift into dreaming, and it feels less like sleep than a journey, a crossing into another sea, one made not of water, but of possibility itself. Dreams blur the boundaries between memory and imagination. A face from childhood reappears on a street you have never walked. A place you know fuses with one that never existed. Images dissolve and reform, weaving together fragments of experience with threads of invention. The logic of waking life fades, replaced by something fluid, something that shifts moment by moment. Scientists have traced dreams to the activity of the sleeping brain. During REM sleep, neurons fire rapidly, almost as if awake, while brainwaves ripple in patterns unlike those of deep rest. The prefrontal cortex, the seat of rigid logic, falls quiet, while sensory regions and emotional centers ignite. The result is a canvas of shifting associations where fragments of memory combine in strange, sometimes astonishing ways, but deeper questions remain. Why do dreams feel so vivid, so real, even as they defy the rules of waking life? Why do they often feel as if they arise from somewhere beyond deliberate control? Some researchers suggest that in dreaming, the brain slips into a mode like quantum superposition, not literally collapsing wave functions, but mimicking the logic of possibility. Memory and imagination exist in overlapping states, blending until a dreamer's awareness moves through them, collapsing them into fleeting stories. Close your eyes and feel this. A memory is both present and absent, both remembered and remade. An image flickers between what was and what could be. In dreams, your mind hovers in between, suspended in superposition, drifting across a quantum sea. Let repetition guide you deeper. Memory and imagination, real and unreal, past and future, presence and possibility. The rhythm lulls you, reminding you that dreaming is not an escape from reality, but another way of touching it, another way of sensing the hidden patterns beneath it. Some theories of consciousness suggest that dreams may serve a purpose, consolidating memory, exploring possibilities, testing emotions, but others ask something more daring. Are dreams a glimpse of the universe thinking through us? If awareness is connected to the same quantum principles that guide matter, then perhaps dreaming is not merely personal, but cosmic. In sleep, when logic loosens and boundaries fade, perhaps the mind dips into a deeper current, brushing against the sea of probability that underlies all things. Picture it now, your brain glowing in the dark, firing with hidden rhythms, neurons sparking like constellations, weaving stories that rise and dissolve. The dream feels both intimate and infinite, both yours and not yours. Like waves on the quantum sea, each dream carries echoes of the universe itself, filtered through the vessel of your mind. You drift with this thought, floating between waking and sleeping, between certainty and wonder. Dreams are not just stories told in silence. They are doorways into possibility, reminders that the mind is not fixed but fluid, able to slip across realities like a traveler on shifting seas. Breathe slowly, softly. Feel the rhythm of night pressing gently against you. The dream world is not separate from the waking world, but woven into it, another layer of the same fabric. To dream is to glimpse how reality itself may flow, uncertain, overlapping, full of paths not yet chosen. And as you linger here, the thought begins to shimmer. If dreams are glimpses of the quantum sea, then perhaps waking life too is shaped by the same currents. Perhaps reality itself carries the strangeness of possibility, waiting to be seen, waiting to be known. Imagine sitting inside the quiet theatre of your own mind. The lights dim, the stage opens, and scenes from your life begin to play. Some vivid, others faint, each threaded together into the story of who you believe you are. Memory gives you continuity, weaving past into present, anchoring the self against the shifting tide of time. Yet even here, beneath the familiar surface, another rhythm stirs, the strange, uncertain beat of the quantum now. In your daily experience, time feels like a river, flowing steadily forward. One moment slips into the next, carrying memory like leaves upon its surface. But quantum physics paints a stranger picture. At the smallest scales, time does not behave as a strict arrow. Events exist in probabilities, overlapping states where past and present blur. A particle's history is not fixed until measured, as though even the past waits to be written. Close your eyes and feel the parallel. Your memories, too, are not fixed. Each time you recall, you reshape them. Neurons fire, synapses adjust, fragments blend with the present moment. What you remember is not an untouched recording, but a living thread, rewoven each time you call it forth. The past is never truly past. It is entangled with the present, shimmering within the now. Let repetition steady you, past and present, memory and moment, thread and weave, continuity and change. Over and over the rhythm folds back, carrying you deeper into stillness. Neuroscience shows how fragile this weaving is. The hippocampus binds experiences into memory, but each retrieval softens the edges, making the story pliable. What feels solid is a tapestry of countless revisions, your identity embroidered again and again. Memory is not a line, but a fabric, threads of time entangled, binding you to who you were and who you are becoming. Quantum theory, too, whispers of entanglement across time. Some interpretations suggest that outcomes ripple both forward and backward, shaping not only the future, but the past. It is a strange thought, that reality itself, like memory, may be braided rather than linear, woven across moments instead of marching through them. Picture it now. A neuron flickers, recalling the scent of a summer long ago. A galaxy glows, carrying light from billions of years in the past. Both events arrive in the present, stitched into awareness here and now. The brain and the cosmos alike reveal that time is not a rigid wall but a shimmering veil, one that bends, folds, and weaves. You drift in this realization, suspended between science and wonder. The self you carry is not a fixed statue, but a living pattern, continually reknit by memory, continually flowing through the quantum now. Who you are is not only the sum of what has happened, but the ongoing weaving of possibility into presence. Breathe softly. Let the awareness settle. You are a thread in time's fabric, yet the fabric is alive, changing with each breath, each memory, each act of observation. You are not bound by a past carved in stone. You are carried by a present that is fluid, uncertain, and endlessly new. And as this recognition quiets, another mystery begins to stir. If memory entangles the self across time, could awareness stretch even farther, not only binding past and present, but reaching into futures not yet born? Imagine standing before a world that has not yet chosen its form. Particles shimmer in uncertainty, suspended between possibilities. A photon waits, both wave and particle, both here and there, until something stirs, an act of observation, a glance, a measurement. In that instant, the wave collapses. Probability becomes reality. The universe decides. This is one of the strangest truths of quantum mechanics, that the act of observing appears to affect the outcome. In the famous double-slit experiment, when no one watches, particles create patterns of interference, behaving like waves spread across many paths. But when observed, the same particles act like tiny bullets, choosing a single path. Awareness, or at least measurement, changes what is real. You drift deeper into this paradox. What does it mean for observation to matter? Is it the presence of a measuring device, or is it the presence of mind, the quiet spark of consciousness that shapes the collapse? Some experiments hint at a role for awareness. Studies of the so-called observer effect suggest that human intention, focused thought, may leave subtle marks on quantum outcomes. Random number generators, photon paths, even interference patterns have been tested under the gaze of conscious observers. Results are debated, but the idea lingers. Could thought itself ripple outward into the universe, bending possibility toward presence? Close your eyes and feel the imagery unfold. A field of probability stretches like a vast ocean. Your awareness rises like a drop of ink in water. The patterns shift. The wave contracts. Reality sharpens. Whether or not science has proven it fully, the metaphor carries weight. Consciousness does not stand apart, but may participate in creation, part of the same process that collapses possibility into form. Let repetition cradle you, thought and ripple, attention and shift, observation and collapse, mind and matter. The rhythm folds softly back upon itself, reminding you that awareness may not simply receive the world, but help make it. Consider how this idea reflects your own experience. When you attend to something, a sound, a sight, a memory, it sharpens, becomes vivid. What you ignore fades into the background, barely existing at all. In daily life, consciousness shapes your personal reality. Perhaps at deeper levels, it shapes reality itself. Physicists continue to wrestle with this. Some argue that collapse is purely mechanical, that awareness plays no special role. Others wonder if consciousness and quantum mechanics are entangled in ways not yet understood. Between certainty and doubt lies mystery, and in mystery, wonder. Breathe slowly, softly. Picture your thoughts as ripples spreading outward, subtle but real. Each intention, each act of focus, touches the fabric around you, just as light touches matter, just as gravity bends space. Perhaps your awareness is more than private. Perhaps it belongs to the cosmos itself, part of the universe's way of bringing itself into being. You linger with this vision, particles shimmering, waiting, and then collapsing beneath the gaze of observation. The universe is not a stage separate from you, but a field that responds when you arrive, when you look, when you know. And in the quiet that follows, another possibility flickers at the edge of thought, that when many minds focus together, the ripples may join, shaping something greater than any single observer could create alone. Imagine holding a violin in a silent hall, its strings trembling faintly even before the bow touches them. The air itself carries vibrations, and the instrument is so finely tuned that the smallest quiver will awaken its sound. Now imagine the brain in the same way, not as a closed machine, but as a delicate, resonant instrument, attuned to the subtlest currents of reality. At the level of neurons and synapses, the brain hums with electrical activity. Billions of signals travel along microscopic pathways, each spark contributing to thought, sensation, and awareness. But within this vast network lie even finer structures, the microtubules, the ion channels, the delicate proteins of living cells. Their dimensions are so small that quantum effects may ripple through them, whispering just below the threshold of perception. Some scientists suggest that the brain could act like a detector, sensitive to fluctuations in the quantum field. Just as a radio translates invisible waves into music, the brain might resonate with patterns in the fabric of the universe, amplifying the subtle into the felt, the unseen into awareness. If so, then consciousness itself may be more than internal activity. It may be the music produced when biology resonates with physics. Close your eyes and feel the metaphor unfold. Your awareness is not a closed box, but an open chamber. Vibrations move through it, soft as wind across strings, shaping moods, thoughts, intuitions. Like an instrument, the brain does not generate the field itself, but responds to it, tuning into rhythms that echo far beyond the body. Let repetition steady you. Detector and signal, string and vibration, brain and cosmos, inner and outer. Over and over the pattern hums, a rhythm reminding you that awareness may not only look outward, but resonate with what the universe already sings. The idea of the brain as a quantum instrument is controversial, yet it carries a poetic weight. Physics tells us that quantum fluctuations ripple everywhere, tiny oscillations in the vacuum itself, restless even in silence. If the brain, through its extraordinary sensitivity, could register these fluctuations, then awareness may be directly entangled with the cosmos. You would not only live in the universe, you would listen to it, respond to it, sing with it. Think of the delicate synchrony of brainwaves: delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma. Each frequency reflects a different state of mind. Calm, focus, sleep, imagination, all unfold as shifting rhythms. What if these rhythms are not only self-generated, but also entrained by patterns larger than the brain itself? The cosmos hums, and the brain, like a tuned instrument, falls into resonance. Breathe slowly and let the vision take shape. You are a violin in the orchestra of the universe, your awareness a melody rising from vibrations that stretch across scales. Neurons flicker like strings plucked in silence. Synapses fire like echoes. The mind becomes less a machine, more a resonant bridge, one end rooted in biology, the other brushing the quantum sea. You drift deeper into this thought. If the brain is an instrument, then consciousness is its song, not random noise, but patterned, meaningful, connected. Perhaps thought itself is the echo of the universe within you, a translation of the cosmos into the language of self. And as this image settles, another wonder begins to glimmer. If the brain is an instrument tuned to the universe, then perhaps it can also be retuned, harmonized more deeply, not only to sense reality, but to shape it.